Admiral James Harrison stood at the window of the Lunar Command Center, his weathered face reflected in the reinforced glass as he gazed at the blue marble of Earth floating in the darkness. 30 years of preparing for this moment, and now it had finally arrived. The long-range sensors had detected them 3 days ago, a massive fleet of ships approaching from the direction of the Carina Nebula. "Admiral," Commander Ray Tanaka's voice broke through his contemplation. "The Nexari fleet has passed Mars' orbit. Their trajectory confirms they're heading straight for Earth." Harrison turned from the window, his steel-gray eyes scanning the holographic display that dominated the center of the command room. Dozens of red dots represented the approaching alien armada, arranged in a perfect hexagonal formation that spoke of military precision and arrogance. "How many ships, Commander?" 117, sir. Including what appears to be their flagship, nearly 3 kilometers in length. Tanaka's fingers danced across her console, bringing up detailed scans of the alien vessels. "Their energy signatures match exactly what we extracted from the artifact." The artifact. Harrison's mind drifted back to that day in 2045 when a research team in the Arctic uncovered what appeared to be a crashed scout ship, its hull covered in the same crystalline patterns they now saw on the approaching fleet. That discovery had changed everything, leading to the formation of the Earth Defense Initiative and the greatest secret in human history. "Sir," Lieutenant Priya Patel called out from her communications station. "We're receiving a transmission from the Nexari fleet, directed at all major Earth governments simultaneously." "Put it through to my ready room," Harrison ordered. "And alert Director Okonjo. It's time to play our part." In his private office, Harrison activated the quantum-encrypted channel to EDI headquarters beneath Mount Cheyenne. Director Amara Okonjo's hologram materialized, her expression grave. "They're right on schedule, James." "Indeed. Let's hope our performance is convincing enough." The alien transmission began, and a towering figure appeared before them. The Nexari commander's iridescent scales shifted colors as he spoke, his 4 eyes fixing them with what Harrison recognized as contempt. "People of Earth, I am Supreme Commander Vex of the Nexari Empire. Our scans indicate your civilization has barely achieved spaceflight. To resist would be futile and ultimately destructive to your species. Surrender your world and submit to imperial rule, and you will be permitted to live as productive members of our empire. You have 6 of your Earth hours to respond. Choose wisely." As the transmission ended, Harrison exchanged a knowing look with Okonjo. "Well, they certainly live up to the artifact's records of their arrogance." "Operation Looking Glass is ready," Okonjo confirmed. "All installations are masked by the quantum field generators. As far as their sensors are concerned, we're exactly what they expect, a primitive species with basic rocket technology and a handful of orbital satellites." Harrison nodded, allowing himself a small smile. "Time to give them what they're expecting. Have the UN Security Council convene their emergency session. Make it obvious they're panicking." For the next 5 hours, Earth's governments played their roles perfectly. Frantic diplomatic cables, leaked military communications, and desperate attempts to arm nuclear weapons, all carefully choreographed to convince the Nexari that they faced no real opposition. In reality, deep beneath the surface of every continent, in hidden orbital platforms, and in bases on the far side of the moon, humanity's true defense force waited. The quantum technology reversed engineered from the artifact had given them capabilities the Nexari couldn't imagine. Their entire fleet was already mapped down to the atomic level by sensors that violated what they believed possible, their shield frequencies were analyzed and countered, and their weapons had been rendered obsolete by defenses they couldn't detect. "Signal from the Security Council, Admiral," Tanaka reported. "They're ready to deliver our response." Harrison straightened his uniform. "Very well. Let's give Supreme Commander Vex exactly what his pride demands." The UN Secretary-General's message was appropriately desperate and defiant, ending with a futile demand that the Nexari respect Earth's sovereignty. Harrison counted down in his head, 3, 2, 1. Multiple energy spikes across the Nexary fleet, Patel announced. They're powering up weapons. Right on schedule, Harrison murmured. He opened a channel to all EDI installations worldwide. All units, maintain quantum camouflage. Let them think their first strike succeeds. Remember, we need their entire fleet committed to the attack before we reveal our hand. The Nexary fleet's formation shifted, spreading out to begin their attack run. On Earth, presidents and prime ministers were being rushed to secure bunkers that were actually advanced command centers. News networks broadcast scenes of panic and preparation for war, all carefully staged to maintain the deception. Harrison watched the holographic display as the first wave of Nexary ships entered optimal firing range. Their weapons charged, ready to deliver what they thought would be a devastating demonstration of their power. Incoming fire, Tanaka reported calmly. Multiple plasma-based energy weapons targeting major military installations and population centers. The attacks came exactly as predicted, powerful enough to devastate a truly primitive civilization, but harmlessly absorbed by the quantum shields that had protected Earth for decades. The EDI's holographic projectors showed the expected explosions and destruction, feeding the Nexary false sensor data that confirmed their superiority. Signal from Supreme Commander Vex, Patel announced. He's demanding our immediate surrender. Harrison straightened his uniform once more, preparing to deliver the performance of his life. Earth's apparent helplessness had to be convincing enough to draw in the entire Nexary fleet. Only then would humanity reveal the true extent of their capabilities, springing a trap 30 years in the making. Put him through, Harrison ordered. It's time to show them just how scared and primitive we can be. Supreme Commander Vex stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, watching with satisfaction as Earth's primitive defenses crumbled before the might of the Nexary Empire. Or so he believed. The holographic displays showed devastating impacts across the planet's surface, while panic transmissions filled the communication channels. Pathetic, he muttered, his scales shifting to a deep purple of contempt. They didn't even have proper energy shielding. In the quantum-shielded command center beneath Mount Cheyenne, Director Okonjo watched the Nexary fleet's movements with growing anticipation. The massive holographic display showed every ship's position, their weapon status, and most importantly, their shield configurations. Status of operation Looking Glass, she asked, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. Colonel Marcus Rivera, head of the Quantum Defense Grid, responded without looking up from his station. All installations maintaining perfect camouflage, Director. The Nexary still have no idea they're shooting at holograms. Throughout the solar system, humanity's true defensive network remained invisible to Nexary sensors. Quantum satellites disguised as debris, asteroid bases that appeared to be nothing more than lifeless rocks, and advanced weapon platforms hidden in plain sight, all waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Isabella Santos monitored the quantum entanglement readings from her research station. The technology they'd recovered from the Arctic artifact had revolutionized their understanding of physics, but it was her team's breakthroughs that had truly given Earth a fighting chance. Quantum signature analysis complete, she reported through the secure channel. Their shields are exactly what we expected, they haven't improved their technology in over 300 years. Pride made them stagnant. Admiral Harrison's voice came through the quantum comm, excellent. How long until the fleet is in optimal position? 30 minutes at their current speed, Commander Tanaka replied from Lunar Command. They're proceeding exactly according to standard Nexary invasion protocols we extracted from the artifact. The next half hour was a carefully choreographed dance of deception. Earth's governments continued their show of futile resistance, launching obsolete missiles that the Nexary easily destroyed. Military bases transmitted desperate calls for help, then went silent as holographic explosions convinced the aliens of their success. In near-Earth orbit, the International Space Station played its part, appearing to be damaged by debris from the attack. Its crew of EDI operatives maintained their cover, broadcasting distress signals while secretly coordinating with the Quantum Defense Network. Supreme Commander Vex was growing increasingly confident. Begin the second phase, he ordered. Launch dropships for ground invasion. It's time to claim this world for the Empire. That was the moment they had been waiting for. As the Nexari dropships began launching from their capital ships, they committed their fleet to a lower orbit, exactly as the tactical simulations had predicted. All ships in position, Tanaka confirmed. They've spread their formation to maximize ground coverage. No easy escape routes. Harrison took a deep breath. 30 years of preparation came down to this moment. Director Okonjo, Colonel Rivera, commence Operation Revelation. Throughout the solar system, quantum generators began powering up. The energy signatures were impossible for the Nexari to detect, operating on principles their arrogance had prevented them from discovering. In the Arctic facility where it all began, the original artifact pulsed with power, its crystalline structure resonating with the network humanity had built from its secrets. Dr. Santos watched her quantum monitors spike. Field generators at full power. Ready to drop camouflage on your mark. In low Earth orbit, the Nexari dropships continued their descent, their crews confident in their impending victory. Supreme Commander Vex allowed himself to relax slightly, already composing the victory transmission he would send to the Imperial capital. That's when everything changed. Execute, Harrison commanded. In an instant, the holographic devastation vanished, revealing pristine cities protected by shimmering quantum shields. Thousands of advanced weapon platforms materialized around the Nexari fleet, having been there all along, invisible to their sensors. On the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, alarms screamed as new signatures appeared everywhere. Supreme Commander Vex's scales shifted to the pale yellow of shock as he realized the true situation. His ships were surrounded, caught in a web of advanced technology that shouldn't have been possible. Impossible, he whispered, all four eyes wide with disbelief. Their world was in ruins, we saw it. Admiral Harrison's transmission cut through the chaos on every Nexari frequency. Supreme Commander Vex, allow me to show you humanity's real capabilities. Perhaps next time, you'll think twice before assuming technological superiority based on arrogance alone. The quantum weapons powered up, their energy signatures unlike anything the Nexari had encountered in centuries of conquest. In that moment, Supreme Commander Vex realized his empire's fatal mistake. They had stopped innovating, stopped exploring new possibilities, convinced of their own supremacy. And now they were about to pay the price for that arrogance. In the first moments after Earth's quantum defense grid revealed itself, the vastness of space seemed to hold its breath. The Nexari fleet hung motionless, their neat formation now resembling more of a trap than a display of power. Supreme Commander Vex's initial shock gave way to rage, his scales flooding with deep crimson. Open fire, he roared. Show these deceptive primitives the true power of the Nexari Empire. But humanity had anticipated this reaction. Before the Nexari weapons could discharge, quantum interference fields activated around their ships, disrupting the carefully calibrated energy weapons. What should have been devastating plasma beams emerged as harmless light shows. In the Lunar Command Center, Commander Tanaka allowed herself a small smile. All quantum interference fields functioning at optimal levels, Admiral. Their primary weapons have been neutralized. Harrison nodded, his expression grim but determined. Begin Phase 1 of the counterstrike. Let's show them what 30 years of preparation looks like. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden arsenal sprang to life. From quantum-cloaked platforms in Earth orbit, missiles carrying payloads of concentrated dark energy emerged. These weapons, developed from principles found in the Arctic artifact, ignored conventional shields and armor as if they didn't exist. Dark energy missiles away, Colonel Rivera reported from Mount Cheyenne. Impact in 3, 2, 1. The outer edges of the Nexari fleet erupted in chaos. Ships that had never known defeat found their hulls breached by weapons that defied their understanding of physics. Escape pods launched from dying vessels, their crews abandoning ship as quantum cascade failures tore through their power systems. Supreme Commander Vex watched in horror as a third of his fleet was disabled in the opening salvo. Impossible. Their technology, it cannot be this advanced. Actually, it can. Dr. Santos's voice came through on all Nexary frequencies. You see, Commander, while your empire rested on its laurels, we studied that scout ship you lost 3 decades ago. But unlike you, we didn't just copy it, we improved upon it. Evolved it. Created something new. Deep beneath the Pacific, Dr. Santos coordinated with quantum AI systems, analyzing the Nexary's desperate attempts to adapt their shields. They're trying to modify their shield frequencies, Admiral. Exactly as we predicted. Initiate Phase 2, Harrison commanded. Colonel Rivera, you have a go for the quantum swarm. From bases hidden in the asteroid belt, thousands of automated drones emerged. Each one was smaller than a human hand but carried enough quantum processing power to outthink any Nexary defense system. They moved in perfect coordination, guided by quantum entanglement that made their movements impossible to predict. Commander Vex ordered his remaining ships into a defensive sphere, a textbook Nexary response to being surrounded. But this was no textbook battle. The quantum swarm flowed through their formation like water through a sieve, attaching themselves to ship hulls and beginning their work. Each drone carried a payload of nanobots programmed with one purpose, to convert the Nexary's own power systems into quantum generators that would disable their ships from within. Sir. Vex's tactical officer called out in panic. These devices, they're transforming our ship somehow. Power systems are failing across the fleet. In the Arctic facility, the original artifact pulsed with increasing intensity. Lieutenant Kira Patel, Dr. Santos's protege, monitored its reactions. The artifact is responding to the quantum field fluctuations, Doctor. It's almost as if it's helping us. Perhaps it is, Santos replied thoughtfully. Maybe this was its purpose all along, to help us defend ourselves against an empire that had forgotten the meaning of progress. The battle continued to unfold, but it was already clear this would not be the easy conquest the Nexary had expected. Their mighty fleet, terror of 1,000 worlds, was being systematically dismantled by technology they couldn't understand, let alone counter. On the Eternal Dominion's bridge, Supreme Commander Vex received increasingly desperate reports. Half his fleet was dead in space, their power systems converted into quantum generators that now served Earth's defense network. Another quarter had been destroyed or disabled by the dark energy weapons that ignored their strongest defenses. Supreme Commander, Admiral Harrison's voice cut through the chaos again. Your invasion force is defeated. Your weapons are useless. Your shields offer no protection. I offer you one chance to surrender and withdraw your remaining ships. Otherwise, we will be forced to demonstrate our full capabilities. Vex's scales shifted through a rainbow of colors as competing emotions warred within him. Rage at being deceived. Shame at being defeated. Fear of what other weapons these humans might possess. But strongest of all was disbelief that a species they had dismissed as primitive had so thoroughly outmaneuvered the mighty Nexary Empire. You. He sputtered, you hid your true technology, deceived us. We learned from the best, Harrison replied coldly. Your own records in the artifact showed how the Nexary Empire conquers worlds, swift, overwhelming force against supposedly inferior species. We simply gave you what you expected to see. Your pride did the rest. In Mount Cheyenne, Director Okonjo watched the tactical display with satisfaction. The quantum field readings suggest their remaining ships are powering down weapons, Admiral. I believe they're considering your offer. But before Vex could respond, new alarms blared across every command center on Earth. Dr. Santos's voice carried a note of urgency. Admiral, we're detecting massive power spikes from the Eternal Dominion. They're attempting something. Wait, these readings, they can't be serious. The massive Nexary flagship began to glow with building energy, its hull crackling with power that set every quantum sensor screaming. Supreme Commander Vex's voice boomed across all frequencies, tinged with madness and desperation. If we cannot have this world, then no one shall. Witness the final resort of the Nexary Empire. Harrison's eyes widened as he recognized the energy signature. By God, they're going to trigger a quantum singularity. They'll destroy themselves and half the solar system with them. Time seemed to slow as the Eternal Dominion's hull pulsed with ominous energy, the massive ship preparing to tear a hole in the fabric of space itself. In command centers across Earth, alarms screamed warnings of the building quantum cascade. How long do we have? Harrison demanded, his voice cutting through the chaos. Dr. Santos's fingers flew across her quantum interface. 4 minutes until the singularity reaches critical mass. Once it starts, we can't stop it. The gravitational collapse will destroy everything from here to Jupiter. Director Okonjo's hologram flickered as she accessed classified files. The artifact's records never mentioned this capability. They've been holding this back for centuries. Because they never needed it, Lieutenant Patel interjected from the Arctic facility. The artifact, it's reacting to the power buildup. The patterns in its crystalline structure are shifting. I think it's trying to tell us something. Harrison made a split-second decision. Dr. Santos, Lieutenant Patel, you have 2 minutes to figure out what that artifact is telling us. Everyone else, prepare for emergency quantum translocation of all Earth's population centers. If we can't stop this, we need to save as many as we can. In the Pacific Deep Sea facility, Dr. Santos watched in fascination as new equations scrolled across her screens, patterns emerging from the artifact's pulsing energy signature. The Nexary didn't create this technology, she breathed. They found it, just like we did. And they never fully understood it. 3 minutes to singularity formation, Colonel Rivera reported grimly. Lieutenant Patel's voice carried sudden excitement. Doctor, look at these resonance patterns. The artifact isn't just showing us the problem, it's showing us the solution. The quantum singularity, it's not just a weapon, it's a key. Of course. Dr. Santos straightened, her eyes wide with realization. Commander Tanaka, reconfigure all quantum platforms to match the artifact's frequency. Admiral, I need control of the quantum swarm immediately. Harrison didn't hesitate. Granted. Colonel Rivera, transfer swarm control to Dr. Santos. On the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, Supreme Commander Vex watched with grim satisfaction as the Singularity Core powered up. His scales had settled into the deep blue of resignation. Let history record that the Nexary Empire never surrendered. 2 minutes to singularity formation, Rivera updated. The quantum swarm moved with new purpose, forming complex geometric patterns around the Eternal Dominion. Each drone adjusted its quantum field to match the frequencies emanating from the Arctic artifact. What exactly are you attempting, Doctor? Harrison asked, watching the swarm's movements. The artifact's original purpose, Santos replied, her voice tight with concentration. It wasn't a weapon or a scout ship. It was a key to the quantum realm, designed to prevent exactly this kind of catastrophe. The ancient civilization that created this technology, they built in safeguards. Lieutenant Patel's voice joined in, the Nexary found one of these keys and reversed engineered what they could, but they never understood its true purpose. They thought they were building a weapon, but they actually created a quantum lock, Santos finished. And we're going to turn it. 1 minute to singularity formation, Rivera announced. The quantum swarm tightened its formation around the Eternal Dominion, creating a complex web of intersecting energy fields. In the Arctic, the artifact's pulsing reached a fever pitch, its crystalline structure resonating with the same frequencies. 30 seconds. Dr. Santos's voice carried steel determination. Initiating quantum lock sequence. Commander Tanaka, I need full power to all platforms now. Energy poured from Earth's defense grid into the quantum swarm. The drones began to glow with the same otherworldly light as the artifact, their combined fields creating a geometric pattern that seemed to fold through dimensions human eyes couldn't perceive. On the Eternal Dominion's bridge, Vex's triumph turned to confusion as his ship's sensors registered the impossible energy patterns surrounding them. What are they doing? What is this? 15 seconds to singularity. The space around the Nexary flagship began to twist, reality itself seeming to bend as the quantum lock engaged. Dr. Santos's voice was barely a whisper, initiating final sequence. 10 seconds. Quantum lock stabilized, Patel reported. Ready on your mark, Doctor. 5 seconds. Now. Santos commanded. Reality folded. The quantum swarm's energy field collapsed inward, guided by principles written into the artifact's crystalline memory eons ago. The forming singularity, rather than exploding outward, imploded in on itself, taking the Eternal Dominion with it. A flash of light that shouldn't have been possible lit up the solar system. When it faded, the Nexary flagship was gone, replaced by a perfectly stable quantum containment field maintained by the drone swarm. Silence fell across all channels. Finally, Harrison spoke. Status report. Singularity contained, Santos reported, her voice weary but triumphant. The quantum lock is holding. The Nexary flagship has been relocated. Relocated where, exactly? Director Okonjo asked. Based on these readings, Patel answered, a perfectly stable pocket universe about the size of a football field. They're alive in there, but they won't be threatening anyone else for a very long time. Harrison allowed himself a small smile. Send a message to the remaining Nexary ships. Tell them their commander's gambit failed. They can either surrender or join him in quantum containment. As the surviving Nexary ships powered down their weapons, humanity's first major interstellar conflict drew to a close. But in the Arctic facility, Lieutenant Patel made a discovery that would change everything. Dr. Santos, she called out, her voice filled with wonder. The artifact, it's showing us something new. I think it's a map. To others like itself. And instructions for something called a quantum gate network. In orbit above Earth, the contained pocket universe shimmered quietly, a testament to how humanity had not only survived its first contact with hostile aliens but had also unlocked secrets that would forever change their destiny among the stars. 1 month after the Battle of Earth, Admiral Harrison stood in the newly constructed Quantum Research Center, watching holographic displays of the surrendered Nexary ships being escorted to a containment facility in the Kuiper Belt. The defeat of their supreme commander and the loss of their flagship had broken the Empire's legendary resolve. The last of the Nexary crew had been processed, Commander Tanaka reported, joining him at the window. Most are scientists and engineers. Once they realized we'd unlocked the true potential of the quantum technology, they couldn't volunteer information fast enough. Harrison nodded, unsurprised. Pride and fear, the pillars of their empire. Remove one, and the other crumbles. In the main research chamber, Dr. Santos and Lieutenant Patel worked with a team of scientists, including several Nexary defectors, studying the expanding holographic map that the artifact had revealed. Each point of light represented another quantum key scattered across the galaxy. The Nexary found only one key, explained former Imperial scientist Ixis, his scales shifting to the green of excitement as he pointed to various locations. We thought we were masters of the technology, but we only scratched the surface. These keys, they're part of a transportation network built by the predecessors. The predecessors? Director Okonjo's hologram materialized in the chamber. You've mentioned them before. Ixis's scales rippled with reverence. A civilization that existed millions of years ago. They created the quantum gates to connect the galaxy, but something made them abandon the network. The Nexary Empire found one key and built their dominion on poorly understood fragments of its technology. Dr. Santos manipulated the holographic display, zooming in on a cluster of points. These readings suggest there are at least 50 quantum keys in our galaxy alone. Each one contains the same safeguards we use to contain the Eternal Dominion, but they're also components of something much larger. A transportation network that could take us anywhere in the galaxy, Patel finished, her eyes bright with possibility. But unlike the Nexary, we're not just copying the technology, we're understanding it, improving it. The quantum principles we've discovered are already revolutionizing everything from medicine to energy production. In orbit, the contained pocket universe that held the Eternal Dominion shimmered with elegant stability, maintained by a refined version of the quantum swarm. Inside, Supreme Commander Vex and his bridge crew experienced time at a fraction of its normal rate, their prison and punishment for attempting to destroy an entire solar system. The Nexary Empire is fracturing, Colonel Rivera reported, joining the group. Our quantum broadcasts revealing their defeat, along with evidence of how they've suppressed technological advancement, have sparked uprisings across their territories. Multiple systems are declaring independence. Harrison turned from the window. And the other keys? Have we made contact with any other civilizations studying them? 3 so far, Patel replied, highlighting points on the map. None as advanced as the Nexary, but all of them approached the technology with curiosity rather than conquest. They're eager to share knowledge. Dr. Santos brought up a new holographic display showing the construction of massive structures in Earth orbit. The first true quantum gate will be operational within 6 months. Based on the artifact's specifications, enhanced by our own innovations, we'll be able to create stable wormholes large enough for ships to pass through. And the predecessors? Okonjo asked. Could they still be out there? Ixis's scales shifted to a thoughtful purple. The network appears to lead somewhere, beyond the galaxy's edge. Perhaps, when we've learned enough, we'll be ready to find out. In the Arctic facility, the original artifact pulsed with steady light, its crystalline structure now fully understood but still revealing new mysteries. Teams of human and alien scientists worked together, driven not by imperial mandate but by shared curiosity and wonder. We've received requests from 17 former Nexary worlds, Commander Tanaka reported. They're seeking assistance in establishing their own research facilities. Many of their brightest minds were held back by imperial doctrine. Now they're eager to push boundaries. Harrison smiled. Fear and pride held them back for centuries. Maybe curiosity and cooperation will take us further. There's something else, Dr. Santos added, bringing up a new set of equations. The quantum principles we're discovering, they suggest the predecessors found a way to manipulate reality at its most fundamental level. The gates might be just the beginning. They left us a road map to possibilities we've only dreamed of. Director Okonjo's hologram nodded thoughtfully. And this time, we'll walk that road together, not as conquerors, but as explorers. The quantum map glowed above them, each point of light representing not just a piece of ancient technology, but a reminder of the price of arrogance and the value of wisdom. Humanity had faced its first major interstellar threat and emerged not just victorious, but enlightened. In the depths of space, the quantum gates took shape, their crystalline structures echoing the design of the original artifact. They were humanity's first steps into a larger universe, built not on the conquest and stagnation that doomed the Nexary Empire, but on the eternal human drives to explore, understand, and improve. The stars awaited, and this time, humanity was ready to meet them not with weapons drawn, but with open minds and humble hearts, having learned the greatest lesson the Nexary never could, that true power lies not in dominance, but in the endless pursuit of knowledge and understanding. Admiral Harrison took one last look at the contained pocket universe that held the Eternal Dominion. It would stand as an eternal reminder that the price of arrogance was high, but the rewards of wisdom were infinite. Humanity's next great adventure was just beginning.